Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I believe this is Minicast number 10. It may be maybe 11. Yeah, something like around that area. But today, guys, we're gonna talk about this is gonna be something interestingly long. Yeah, let's cut to the intro, guys. All right, guys. Before we start, make sure you hit that subscribe button and like button. Or at the end of this video, you can hit that like button. You might not make it to the end because you may find this a little too boring, but make sure you hit that subscribe button just so you can see more interesting videos. Maybe I can figure out stuff. Now, today we're going to talk about the everything you need to know about the Aston Martin Valkyries 1,000 horsepower V12. Let's get right into this. Now, as of December 13th of 2018, Aston Martin has released a video of the Valkyrie's engine on a dyno. You can hear the V12 running through the same gears and possibly hidden redline. We have embedded the video below. Okay, yeah, cut that out. Yeah, I'll link a description to the video below if you guys want to check it out. It's a pretty cool video. You see, while the list of unknown details about the upcoming Aston Martin Valkyrie remain dull, very not there yet. I could tell you at the internal combustion side of a hybrid powertrain, have just seen a prototype engine being tested on a dynamometer by Cosworth, which is obviously, if you've heard of the Ford Escort Cosworth, aka the Cosy, this is the same company that makes this motor. It's a British engineering company. Now, this is a naturally aspirated V12, as Lamborghini is moving away from that. The SVJ is the last Lamborghini naturally aspirated V12 they're making, as they say, as we're moving into the more electric hybrid powertrain area of aspect of things. Now, Red Bull Racing's Adrian Newey, the project director, had earlier considered using a turbocharged V6, which would have been stupid for the price they're asking for this car. Now, how rare it is, yeah, maybe that's one thing. Yeah, it's Aston Martin, but still. A V6, a really turbocharged V6, who knows what they're going to be using for the turbocharged V6. Now, I'm not too sure about that on that spectrum of things. Now, yeah. Now, that's an interesting topic, but a V6, that's the same as a Ford Raptor, obviously, a turbocharged V6 EcoBoost, but this one, I don't know if this would be a EcoBoost, but again, this will be copying a lot of automotive companies like Nissan and their Nissan GTR. I think that's where they're going at. It's like, this car is powerful, this car is really fast, let's try that, but they realized they'd be copying technically Nissan as they're going into it. Now, according to the managing director Bruce Wood, the brief handed down was both simple and hugely demanding. The engine would need to be strong enough to act as a structural component, as in a race car, should weigh less than 441 pounds, and had to produce 1,000 horsepower. So they wanted this to be a race car, obviously, and that makes more sense to why they made the V12 variant of this car, because guess what? You want to have a race car, a spec race car, you need to have 1,000 horsepower and it has to weigh less than 441 pounds. Weight savings, guys. Now, as these pictures show, this is a carbon fiber intake manifold. Again, I can't embed right now, unfortunately, because I have to pay for it, and I might be getting a laptop for Christmas, after Christmas, because I could probably afford it by then. So yeah, you can just hold on like 2 weeks. I'll get a computer and this will be a lot better. I already found one I already have, priced out. So it should be a pretty decent enough, computer to do perfect editing and way better editing. And eventually I'll get myself a GoPro or maybe an Elgato. I don't need a GoPro right now, or a camera, I should say, which a GoPro Hero would probably be the best for my solution. Now, Wood admits that Cosworth narrowly missed the weight target, which it makes sense, because making engines that light are hard to do, especially if Cosworth is on the rally game of things and they're like, hey, make a race car. That's hard to do, especially in a car that has a V12. A V12 is very heavy. Now, I could probably lift this engine up. I could probably push it with the weight it's at, and no issue, because again, my quad, I can lift that thing up perfectly fine. Not fully, but its size is a thing. But the dressed engine, as proclaimed here, including exhaust manifolds, tips the scale at 454 pounds. Blame the modest overage on the decision to move the cogs that drive the camshafts from the front to the rear of the engine. Due to the huge noise these would transmit through the direct moving of the carbon fiber tub, it would have been lighter to put them in at front, with admits. But then nobody would have been able to spend more than 5 minutes in the car, because it would have been way annoying and it would have been very uncomfortable to drive, as he was proclaiming. Now, because as they're saying, this is how loud this is, because it's going to be a rear mounted motor, obviously, so it's going to be right behind your head, right where your ears are at. So having that loud noise going to your ears would make it very, very unappealing. Especially if it's loud enough, you can't turn your radio on to block it off. There's an issue. Nobody would want to buy the car. Now, that's why they didn't do that. Yeah. Let's see. Let's scroll down here. For some indication that obsessiveness in which weight has been hunted down, the lacquer finish of the carbon fiber airbox will be optional, which is good. It will only save about 2.8 ounces, which isn't that much, really, because plastic and carbon fiber weigh about the same in the aspects of things, depending on how thin the plastic is. But for an airbox, maybe that thin, but we'll have to see. I can't really tell how big this airbox is, so they'd probably be better off getting the plastic one. This carbon fiber would probably cost about $500 optional for an airbox. And you're only saving that many ounces, which isn't a lot, honestly. That's like maybe half an onion. No, not even that. Maybe a quarter of an onion on an airbox, and that you're not gonna be able to feel the weight difference on this car. Now, gear-driven camshafts were made necessarily by the huge revs needed to develop the engine's peak power, which says that chains would not have been able to cope. The official maximum is 1,000 horsepower at 10,500 RPMs, which is still loud. You can still get a lot of power through that. You don't need to have 12,000 RPM red line, obviously. That'd just be it'd sound good, but it's not necessary. Now, with the engine having a soft limiter at 11,200 RPM and the fuel cut off 11.4 RPM, yeah. Its peak horsepower is at 10,500, but it can go to 11,400, which is about 1,000 more RPM, which is still freaking loud. I'd love to drive this car. That'd be amazing how freaking loud that would be. Now, engine music at the Silverstone race circuit is another subtitle to this article. Again, I'll have a link in the description below for this article. We'll have to wait to discover what the engine sounds like in the finished car, but the Cosworth test bed, it produced a spine-tingling soundtrack while being put through its paces. When car and driver visited the company's Northampton, UK headquarters, the second durability prototype had just begun a 220-hour testing cycle that included multiple virtual laps in the Silverstone circuit. Wow, that's a lot of time to do virtual testing, but I guess you get paid for it, you can do it. This would actually, I wouldn't mind, but I would never live in Britain. That's my opinion, because of how bad that country is at this point. Yeah, I might go into politics a tiny bit, but I'm not going to go that far into them right now. Now, the peak torque is at 545 pound-feet, delivered at softly 7,000 RPMs. We haven't been given bore and stroke figures yet, although we know the engine displays 6.5 liters, but Wood says the piston speeds approach those of a modern Formula 1 engine and around 26 meters per second or 58 miles per hour. So this is gonna mock. They're saying this is gonna mock a Formula 1 car. This is gonna sound like a Formula 1 car. Okay, while numbers are extraordinary, the design and construction of the engine are broadly conventional. It has a 65-degree angle between its cylinder banks, and the block and the heads are cast from aircraft grade alloys. which they need to be if they're going to make a car that looks like that, and it's going to be that light, and it's going to have that much power. So they need to make it strong enough so it doesn't go blow up everywhere. And it'll also sound good, obviously. That's what the main goal is on this part of the article. Now, Mr. Woods admitted that emissions compliance was one of the tougher challenges. That means, if you guys don't know what that means, that's basically, if they're going to try and get this into America, especially in Britain where they're testing this, they had to meet emissions standpoints. Now I'm looking at this timer on my phone. It could be one of my longer videos. Like, that's pretty cool. I've never actually done a video on one car that's at least 10 minutes. Thank you, Car and Driver, for that one. But emission standards are very hard to meet, especially if you're building a new car and you've never built one before. Like this before at this scale, with this engine. I mean, yeah, they had a V12 Vantage, but this is something different. This is a Cosworth engine made with the sides of Red Bull Racing Team and Aston Martin. Yeah, they said it will meet European standards and resulted in use of port rather than direct fuel injection. Okay. In July, the targets to be met without the use of gasoline particulate filters. So I believe a port is something that's like that filters it differently compared to a direct fuel injection, because there's different filters for every one of these. But I think it's placed more near the like in between instead of, it's hard to explain, but direct fuel injection has a filter, I believe, near the engine or near where it hits the engine. I believe this is in between. Alright, let's scroll down. Alright, this V12 is supposed to is meant to last more than 100,000 kilometers. I'm gonna say 150,000 miles, and more, which makes sense. So they're telling you to drive this car. Do not leave this car in your garage. Drive it like you mean it, because you're buying the car for a reason. Obviously, you're gonna drive your car. Now, they're saying the engine life of 100,000 kilometers or 62,000 miles. Never mind, which happens to be on the same figure as Mercedes-Benz claims for the F1 driven power plant in the Project 1, which this needs to be more than 62,000 miles, obviously, because you got those people who are going to drive this thing every day, because you're going to spend $2 million on a car. What do you think how are you going to react to not being able to drive it? How are people going to look at you? They're going to look at you like the prick that didn't bought a car, who just wants to leave it in his garage. Probably, I'm going to say these guys that buy these cars probably go to the thermal racing track, have garages there, in LA, the LA area. So I believe they're going to do that there. A lot of those people are going to have one of these. I think they already filled an application out. What says the anticipation is that only routine maintenance will be required during this lifespan. And if an owner does drive the multi-million-dollar hypercar that far, he's saying that he knows people aren't going to drive this car that far, which is kind of sad to hear from a head of design at Aston Martin, especially. Now, it really is sad to hear, because they want their car to be driven, but they know it's not going to be driven. So they're just saying, okay, I think that's why they made the engine lifespan so short, because they knew people weren't going to drive it as much as that. In quote, our expectation that 100,000 kilometers, the engine would be replaced, says Wood. That's not to say that we think there is going to be a hole through the side of it, but our expectation would be that a lot of the components would be worn out. The reality is that, and if anybody got to that point, we'd take the engine out, strip it, and crack test it. If the block was fine and not excessively worn, there would be no reason not to rebuild it in new pistons. Now, if I was Mr. Wood here, Mr. Wood here, I would say this engine would be free to replace, because that's a milestone for them, that they expected people not to drive that car like that, and that's a really, really big, thing for them, which is really cool, because honestly, they'll take the engine apart and rebuild it. But yeah, I'm gonna leave a link down to this article as I'm running out of time here right now. But make sure if you guys like this video, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, hit that post notification button. Make sure you don't miss another one of my videos. Trust me, it'll be worth it in the long run. Obviously, I'll get better quality in my videos, and I'll have faster processing system. I might even have an area in my closet that I can film. I can put my desk. I'm gonna move my camera for the first time. So here's gonna be. So this is my RO uniform. Now, if you look at it, okay, yeah, let me get this correct. All right, hold on. Let me switch this out. Let me switch the camera. All right, so as you see here, I'm sorry for the piss stains. My dogs like to piss all over my room. And yes, my laundry and stuff. But I will eventually have a desk right here going this way. And I could put my camera maybe like right here where the blueprints are in a poster I have. And we can have a better podcast. But even then, make sure if you guys like this video, you hit that subscribe button. Yeah, again, thank you. Have a good day, everybody.